3 men covered in blood showed up at her door at 2 a.m. Naomi Carter was broke, alone, raising a 5-year-old son in a neighborhood that had forgotten her name. Her husband had been missing for 3 years. Police said he was dead. Her bank account said $41. Her heart said keep going. She should have been asleep. Should have ignored the pounding on her door. Should have pretended she wasn't home like any sensible woman would do in the middle of a snowstorm. But when she saw those 3 figures through the frosted glass, one of them slumped, barely standing, bleeding through his coat, something in her chest wouldn't let her turn away. Every instinct screamed danger. She opened the door anyway. What she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that one of those men had been hiding her husband this entire time. She didn't know that the neighbor who smiled in her face and whispered behind her back was a spy. Planted on her street, watching her every move, waiting for the moment her husband resurfaced so she could report back to the people who wanted him dead. And she definitely didn't know that by sunrise, 53 black SUVs would crawl down her quiet street in perfect formation. Armed men would surround her house. And the man she had been mourning for 3 years, the father of her child, would step out of the lead vehicle. Alive. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we go back to that door, subscribe now. Tomorrow I'm dropping a story I've been afraid to tell. The last time I posted something this heavy, thousands of people missed it because they weren't subscribed. Don't be one of them. Now, let's go back to the beginning. But before that night, before the blood and the strangers and the knock that changed everything, there was just a woman trying to survive. Naomi Carter woke at 5:17 a.m. to a house that felt like a refrigerator. The thermostat was set to 55 degrees. Had been for months. Heating cost money she didn't have. Her son Elijah was curled beside her, his small body pressed against hers for warmth. They shared a bed now. Not by choice, she simply couldn't afford to heat 2 rooms. She reached for her phone. Checked her bank account like she did every morning. Hoping for a miracle. Praying the numbers had changed. $41.78. Rent was due in 5 days. $875 she didn't have. Couldn't get. Had no idea how to find. She closed her eyes. Took a breath. Then did what she always did. Got up anyway. In the kitchen, she opened the refrigerator and counted what was left. 2 eggs. Half a carton of milk. A few slices of bread starting to go stale. She cracked the eggs into a pan. Made breakfast for her son. Poured the last of the milk into his favorite cup. On the refrigerator door, held up by a magnet shaped like a heart, was a photograph. Damon, her husband, holding newborn Elijah in the hospital, grinning like he had just won the lottery. Like the whole world belonged to him. Naomi touched the ring hanging from the chain around her neck. His wedding ring. She hadn't taken it off since the day he disappeared. Mama? She turned. Elijah stood in the doorway, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Hey, baby. Breakfast is almost ready. He walked over, climbed into his chair, then looked at her with those big brown eyes, his father's eyes. Mama, why do you wear Daddy's ring but not yours? Her chest tightened. Because Daddy's ring keeps him close to my heart. Elijah nodded slowly, then said something that made her freeze. He's coming back. I dreamed it. Naomi stared at her son. He'd said this before, many times. She never knew how to respond. Maybe, baby, maybe someday. But she didn't believe it. Couldn't afford to believe it. That night, after Elijah fell asleep, Naomi sat alone in the dark. She opened the box she kept hidden in her closet. The box of Damon's things. His watch was on top. Frozen at 11:47 p.m. The exact minute her life had stopped 3 years ago. She picked it up, traced the cracked glass with her finger. The last night, the last kiss, the last words, I'll be back in an hour. He never came back. The next morning, Naomi walked Elijah to the bus stop at the corner of the block. It was cold, the kind of February cold that bites through your coat and settles into your bones. Elijah held her hand tight, his backpack bouncing with each step. And there she was, Mrs. Gwendolyn Price, 65 years old, retired, always outside, always watching. She stood near the stop sign with her little dog, eyes tracking Naomi and Elijah like a hawk tracking a mouse. Good morning, Mrs. Price, Naomi said. Polite, guarded. Mrs. Price smiled, but it wasn't a real smile. It was the kind people wear when they're about to say something nasty. Still no husband, I see. Her voice carried, loud enough for the other neighbors to hear. Such a shame. A boy needs a father. Especially in a neighborhood like this. Naomi's grip tightened on Elijah's hand. She kept her face calm. We're doing just fine. Are you though? Mrs. Price tilted her head. I've been meaning to ask, have you considered Section 8 housing? This street has certain standards. Some of us have lived here for decades. We notice when things start to slip. The bus appeared at the end of the block. Naomi bent down, kissed Elijah's forehead, and watched him climb aboard. She didn't speak again until the bus pulled away. Then she turned to Mrs. Price with fire in her eyes but grace on her lips. Have a blessed day, Mrs. Price. She walked away, dignity intact, rage burning underneath. Mrs. Price waited until Naomi disappeared inside her house. Then she pulled out her phone. Dialed a number. Spoke low. Nothing new. She's still wearing his ring. Still waiting. A pause. Listening. If he surfaces, I'll know. I watch her every single day. She hung up. Her eyes drifted toward Naomi's front door. The smile was gone now. What replaced it was something colder. Something that didn't match the nosy neighbor act at all. Later that afternoon, Naomi was at work. She cared for Ms. Lorraine, 78 years old, bedridden, but sharp as a blade. You still wearing that man's ring? Ms. Lorraine asked, watching her. Naomi nodded. Some men leave because they want to. The old woman's voice softened. And some men get taken. You never found out which one your Damon was. The police said. Police say a lot of things, baby. Ms. Lorraine's eyes held hers. But truth always finds the light. Always. 3 days later, the sky turned gray and didn't stop. February 14th. Valentine's Day. A day for lovers. For flowers and chocolate and whispered promises. Naomi spent it alone. She fed Elijah dinner. Read him a story. Tucked him into bed beside her. Watched his eyes flutter closed while the wind howled outside. The weather report had warned about it all week. Worst snowstorm to hit Chicago in 15 years. Stay indoors. Stock up on supplies. Prepare for the worst. Naomi had done what she could. Which wasn't much. By 10 p.m., the snow was falling sideways. By 11, the streets had disappeared under a thick white blanket. At 11:52 p.m., the power went out. The heater stopped humming. The refrigerator went silent. The only light came from the gas stove she kept burning low for warmth. Naomi moved fast. Grabbed every blanket in the house. Wrapped Elijah up tight. Pulled him close to her chest. The temperature dropped quick. She could see her own breath now. It's okay, baby, she whispered into the darkness. Mama's got you. We're gonna be fine. But she didn't know if that was true. Her phone showed 7% battery. No way to charge it. No way to call for help. Outside, the wind screamed like something wounded. She sat in the kitchen with Elijah in her arms, her back against the wall, watching the snow pile up against the windows. Alone. Completely alone. At 2:17 a.m., she heard it. An engine. Roaring through the storm. Coming fast. Then a crash. Metal against concrete. Loud enough to cut through the wind. Naomi's heart jumped. She laid Elijah down gently and crept toward the window. Through the snow, she could make out headlights. A car had slammed into the snowbank at the end of her dead-end street. Steam rose from the hood. 3 figures climbed out. One of them could barely stand. The other 2 were holding him up, dragging him forward. They looked around, searching for something, somewhere. Then one of them spotted the faint glow of her stove through the window. They started walking toward her house. Naomi's breath caught in her throat. Her pulse pounded in her ears. 3 strangers, middle of the night, coming straight for her door. She grabbed Elijah, pulled him tight against her. The figures reached her porch. She could see them now through the glass. 3 men, Asian, expensive suits, torn and bloody. One of them barely conscious. The tallest one looked directly at her window. Their eyes met through the frosted glass. Then came the knock. The knock came hard. 3 heavy strikes that shook the doorframe. Naomi didn't move, didn't breathe. Elijah stirred in her arms. Mama? Who's that? Shish, baby. Stay quiet. Then a voice. Male. Calm despite the storm. A Korean accent cutting through the wind. Please. My father is wounded. He will die out here. Naomi pressed her back against the kitchen wall. Her heart slamming in her chest. We saw your light. You are the only one on this street. Please. I am begging you. The voice cracked on that last word. Real desperation. Real fear. She crept toward the window. Peeked through the curtain. The wounded man was slumped between the other two. Blood soaked through his white shirt, spreading dark across his stomach. His head hung low. He looked half dead already. The tall one, the one who had spoken, was staring at her door. Waiting. Hoping. Everything inside Naomi screamed, don't do it. 3 strange men. Middle of the night. Covered in blood. This was how women ended up on the evening news. But then she heard another voice. One that lived deep in her memory. Her grandmother. The woman who raised her. Who taught her everything. When somebody needs help, you help them. Don't matter what they look like. Don't matter what you're scared of. You help them because that's who we are. Naomi looked at Elijah. His big brown eyes watching her. Trusting her. She set him down gently. Walked to the door. Put her hand on the lock. Took a breath. And opened it. Cold air rushed in. Snow swirled around the 3 figures on her porch. The tall one spoke first. Thank you. Thank you. Bring him in. Now. Couch. She was already moving. Grabbing towels. Pulling out the first aid kit she kept under the sink. The 2 men carried the wounded one inside and laid him on her couch. Up close, she could see the damage. Entry wound in the stomach. Blood everywhere. His breathing shallow and quick. I am Du-yun, the tall one said. This is Jae-min. And this, he looked at the wounded man, is my father. He needs a hospital. No hospital. Du-yun's voice was sharp. No police. No authorities. Naomi looked at him. Held his gaze. Then he better hope I know what I'm doing. Elijah appeared in the doorway. Small. Quiet. Watching. Jae-min, the 3rd man, turned toward the boy. And froze. His eyes locked onto Elijah's face. Then drifted to the photograph on the refrigerator. Damon holding baby Elijah. Same eyes. Same nose. Same face. Something flickered across Jae-min's expression. Recognition. Shock. He looked at Du-yun. A silent message passing between them. Du-yun's jaw tightened. His eyes moved to Naomi. Then to the ring hanging from the chain around her neck. He didn't say a word. But in that moment, Naomi felt something shift. These men knew something. Something about her. Something about her life. Something they weren't telling her. The next 3 hours were a blur of blood and prayer. Naomi worked by candlelight. Hands steady. Mind focused. Everything else blocked out. The bullet had gone clean through. Entry wound in the front. Exit wound in the back. Missed the vital organs by inches. But he was losing blood fast. She cleaned the wound. Stitched it closed with a sewing needle and thread she had sterilized over the flame. Packed it with clean bandages. Did everything her training as a health aide had taught her, and some things it hadn't. By 4 a.m., his bleeding had stopped. His breathing had steadied. His color was coming back. He's stable, she said finally. For now. Du-yun exhaled like he had been holding his breath for hours. Thank you. Jae-min stood guard by the window. Silent. Watching the storm. Watching her. Elijah had fallen back asleep in the corner, wrapped in blankets, clutching his stuffed bear. Later, Naomi sat at her small kitchen table. Too wired to sleep. Too exhausted to stand. Du-yun appeared in the doorway. He looked different now. The sharp edges had softened. The mask had slipped. May I sit? She nodded. He sat across from her. For a long moment, neither spoke. Your son, he said quietly. He looks like someone I once knew. Naomi tensed. His father. Where is his father? Missing. 3 years now. She touched the ring on her chain. Police say he's dead. I don't believe it. Du-yun was silent. His eyes dropped to the ring. Then back to her face. Some men disappear because they choose to, he said slowly. Others disappear because someone makes that choice for them. What does that mean? He paused. Something heavy behind his eyes. It means, my father will want to speak with you when he wakes. There are things you need to know. About Damon? He didn't answer. But his silence told her everything. Naomi's chest tightened. You know something. About my husband, don't you? I know more than something. His voice dropped low. But what I know will change your life. Let my father tell you. He owes you that truth. The candle flickered between them. In the dim light, they were closer than they should have been. You could have left us out there, Du-yun said. Let us freeze. Let my father die. Anyone else would have. I'm not anyone else. No. His eyes held hers. You're not. Something passed between them. Unspoken. Electric. He looked at her like he was seeing something he didn't expect to find. Something that made him uncomfortable. Something that made him want to stay. But then he stood. Abruptly. Put distance between them. Thank you, he said again. His voice tight. Controlled. For saving him. He's not saved yet. No. But you gave him a chance. He moved toward the door. That's more than most people have ever given us. He walked out of the kitchen without looking back. Naomi sat alone in the candlelight. Heart pounding. Mind racing. These men had answers. Answers she had been chasing for 3 years. And by morning, she was going to get them. At 6:47 a.m., everything went wrong. Chairman Kang's body started shaking. His skin turned hot to the touch. Sweat poured down his face. Naomi pressed her hand to his forehead and pulled back fast. He's burning up. Infection is setting in. Du-Yun was on his feet in a second. What do we do? I need cold water. Towels. Now. They moved fast. Jae-min brought a basin of water from the kitchen. Du-Yun stripped his father's jacket off. Naomi worked frantically. Cold compresses on his forehead. On his neck. On his wrists. Trying to bring the fever down before it cooked him from the inside. Stay with me, she whispered. Don't you die in my house. Elijah woke to the commotion. He stood in the doorway watching. Then he walked over slowly, dragging his stuffed bear behind him. He placed the bear next to the chairman's hand. My daddy gave me this before he went away, Elijah said softly. It keeps the bad dreams away. Maybe it'll help your daddy too. Du-Yun stared at the boy. Something cracked behind his eyes. At 8:23 a.m., the fever broke. Chairman Kang's breathing slowed. His skin cooled. His eyes fluttered open. He looked around the room. Confused at first. Then his gaze found Naomi. And dropped to the ring hanging from her neck. His whole body went still. Where did you get that ring? Naomi's hand moved to her chest. It belonged to my husband. Damon. Damon Carter. The air left her lungs. How do you know his name? The chairman pushed himself up slowly. Winced at the pain in his stomach. But his eyes never left hers. Because I've been keeping him alive for the past 3 years. The world tilted. Naomi grabbed the edge of the couch to keep from falling. What did you say? 3 years ago, your husband was working as a federal informant. He was collecting evidence against a man named Chairman Yu. My rival. My enemy. He paused. Yu's people discovered what Damon was doing. They were going to kill him. So you took him? I saved him. The chairman's voice was firm. Damon Carter saved my son's life 4 years ago. Outside a hospital in Detroit. Du-Yun was shot during a deal gone bad. Your husband, a security guard, a complete stranger, pulled him to safety. Took a bullet in the shoulder doing it. Naomi looked at Du-Yun. He wouldn't meet her eyes. When Yu's people came for Damon, I couldn't let them kill the man who saved my son. So I had him taken. Hidden. Protected. For 3 years? Naomi's voice broke. I thought he was dead. I mourned him. I wore his ring every single day. If he had come home, you would have found him. Would have killed him. Killed you. Killed your son. The chairman's eyes softened. We were protecting all of you. Even if you didn't know it. Naomi was shaking now. Tears streaming down her face. Is he still alive? Yes. Where is he? The chairman looked toward the window. Toward the street outside. The convoy coming this morning, they are not just coming to thank you for saving my life. He turned back to her. They are bringing your husband home. Damon Carter is alive. 3 years of grief. 3 years of wearing his ring. 3 years of raising their son alone, praying for answers that never came. And he's been breathing this whole time. If you're not subscribed, you're going to miss what happens when that convoy arrives. Hit subscribe, right now. I'm not playing with you. At 9:47 a.m., the rumble started. Naomi felt it before she saw it. A deep vibration moving through the floor. Through the walls. Through her bones. Elijah ran to the window. Mama, cars. So many cars. She walked over slowly, looked outside, and stopped breathing. Black SUVs. Dozens of them. Rolling down her street in perfect formation. One after another after another. They came from both ends of the block. Met in the middle. Lined up along the curbs. Both sides of the street. No space left. Naomi counted. 10, 20, 30, 40, 53 vehicles. Doors opened in unison. Men in dark suits stepped out. dozens of them, silent, disciplined, hands folded in front, eyes forward. The neighbors came out of their houses. Mr. Patterson in his bathrobe. The Chen family on their porch. Old Mr. Davis with his cane. Everyone staring, everyone confused. And there, at the edge of her yard, stood Mrs. Gwendolyn Price. Her face was white as snow. Before anyone could speak, Jae-min stepped off Naomi's porch and walked straight toward Mrs. Price. The old woman took a step back. Then another. Mrs. Gwendolyn Price. Jae-min's voice carried across the silent street. Or should I call you by your real name? You's cousin by marriage. Mrs. Price's mouth opened. Nothing came out. You've been watching this woman for 3 years. Reporting her movements. Waiting for Damon Carter to show his face so your people could finish what they started. The neighbors gasped. Naomi's heart stopped. I don't know what you're talking about. You tormented a grieving widow. Jae-min stepped closer. Called her son fatherless. Told her she didn't belong here. Made her feel like trash in her own neighborhood. All while spying for the man who wanted her husband dead. Mrs. Price's mask finally crumbled. Fear flooded her face. I was told to watch. I didn't. Chairman Yu's network was destroyed last night. That's why we were attacked. His final move. But he failed. Jae-min's voice turned cold. And so did you. 2 men stepped forward. Took Mrs. Price by the arms. She didn't fight. Didn't scream. Just looked at Naomi one last time, eyes full of something that might have been shame. Then she was gone. Loaded into a black SUV that pulled away without a sound. Chairman Kong emerged from the house. Leaning on De-yun's arm. Moving slow but standing tall. He faced the crowd. The neighbors. His men. Naomi standing in her doorway with Elijah pressed against her leg. This woman saved my life last night, he said. His voice carried across the silent block. She opened her door to strangers. Asked for nothing. Gave everything. He paused. But we did not come only to thank her. He turned toward the lead SUV. Raised his hand. Gave a single nod. The rear door opened. A man stepped out of the SUV. Thin. Worn. 3 years older than the photograph on her refrigerator. But unmistakably him. Damon Carter. Alive. Elijah broke free from Naomi's grip before she could react. Daddy. He ran down the porch steps. Across the yard. Straight into the arms of the father he barely remembered. Damon dropped to his knees in the snow. Caught his son. Pulled him so tight it looked like he would never let go. Elijah. Oh God. Elijah. His voice cracked. Tears streaming down his face. You're so big. Look at you. You're so big. I knew you'd come back, Elijah whispered into his father's neck. I dreamed it. Damon squeezed his eyes shut. Held his boy. Let the tears fall. The street was silent. 53 vehicles. Dozens of armed men. An entire neighborhood watching. And at the center of it all, a father holding the son he thought he'd never see again. Naomi couldn't move. Her legs wouldn't work. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was beating so hard she could hear it in her ears. 3 years. 3 years of grief. 3 years of wondering. 3 years of wearing his ring against her chest and praying for a miracle she never really believed would come. And here he was, standing in her yard, holding their son, alive. Damon looked up. His eyes found hers. He stood slowly, Elijah still in his arms, and started walking toward her. 1 step, 2, 3. He stopped at the bottom of the porch. Naomi. His voice broke on her name. I'm so sorry. I couldn't come back. They would have killed you. Both of you. I wanted to. Every single day I wanted to. I know. The words barely made it past her lips. They told me. I never stopped thinking about you. Not 1 day. Not 1 hour. You and Elijah. You were the only thing that kept me alive. She saw his eyes drop to the ring on her chain. His ring. The one she had refused to take off. He reached out. Touched it gently. You kept it. I never stopped believing. Damon set Elijah down. Climbed the steps. Stood in front of her. Then he pulled her into his arms. And she finally broke. 3 years of tears. 3 years of loneliness. 3 years of holding it together for their son. All of it came pouring out as she buried her face in his chest. I'm home, he whispered into her hair. I'm home. I'm not going anywhere. Never again. Elijah climbed back into their arms. The 3 of them holding each other on that cold porch while the world watched. Chairman Kong waited until the moment had passed. Then approached slowly. Mrs. Carter. Your husband saved my son. You saved me. The Kong family owes the Carter family a debt we can never fully repay. Naomi looked up, still holding Damon, still crying. Your house is paid. Elijah's education is secured. Damon's record is clean. You are free. All of you. Forever. 6 months changed everything. The Carter house looked different now. Fresh paint. New windows. A porch swing where Naomi and Damon sat every evening watching Elijah play in the yard. The money from Chairman Kong had rebuilt more than walls. It had rebuilt a family. Naomi started a catering business from home. Word spread fast. Her cooking brought the whole neighborhood together. Damon worked at a community center downtown, helping young men find their way, turning his pain into purpose. Elijah started kindergarten. Both parents walked him to the bus every morning, hand in hand in hand. The neighbors who once whispered now waved. The street that once felt cold now felt like home. One evening, Damon noticed the ring still hanging from Naomi's neck. Why do you still wear it like that? He smiled. I'm right here. She lifted the chain over her head, took his hand, slid the ring back onto his finger where it belonged. For 3 years, this was all I had of you. Her eyes glistened. Now I have the real thing. Valentine's Day came again, 1 year since the night that changed everything. A black SUV rolled slowly down the street. Didn't stop. Through the window, Du-yeon watched the family on the porch. Together, whole, at peace. Naomi raised her hand. A silent thank you. The SUV disappeared around the corner. And she understood something she would carry for the rest of her life. The strangers she helped that night weren't strangers at all. They were the answer to a prayer she had been whispering for 3 years. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe so you never miss another one. And thank you for staying until the very end. That makes you family.